Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 152. Last week, we didn't have a Monday Night Chat because of the floods in Taman Kinrara. So this week, we're going to have two segments. The first one is going to deal with the flood, where we're going to invite Councillor Kenneth to discuss that matter. And then the second one is the hot topic, which is the Johor election. I'm sure all of you are waiting for us to give some briefing on it, even though we're still doing the maths. And then the last segment, if we still have time at the 1 hour mark, or less than an hour, then we'll do a Q&A session. Okay, without further ado, let's start the Meet the Councillor segment. Okay. Okay, Kenneth, how are you? Okay, good.
I'm good, YB. How are you?
Good. Okay, so we're gonna bring in also who's gonna host this, by the way? Bala is coming in. Okay, let's get a 3-panel page in. Okay, so let's do a short interview with Kenneth first, right? Kenneth, can you just explain yourself? How old are you? What did you study? What do you do as a councillor? Just an introduction, anything. Okay.
Okay. My name is Kenneth. Kenneth Sam. I'm the councillor of Zone 11. I was appointed on 2021 Jan. So I'm 30 years old now. Quite old lady, YB. So I completed public relation. I did bachelor's in mass communication, majoring public relation, and I was in that line for about 1.5 years. I worked with Edelman, and then I moved on to into politics.
Okay, but you've been in politics for some time, right? How
Right,
long
maybe.
already? Yeah, how long have you been in politics?
Okay, actually, I was exposed to politics at a very young age. My family is, they're very politic conscious. So I can say, I'm quite exposed since at the age of 16, 17.
I see. Okay,
And
but actively, maybe the last 10 years, I suppose,
correct.
right?
I was elected. I mean, I contested for vice president of youth for Cabang
Okay.
Subang. And I won, but back then it was Kelana Jaya. I think why
it
we
was called
so
Kelana
now,
Jaya back then. That's
yes.
right.
And then now we are uh, after the Pecah zone. I mean after the territorial then we moved on to Subang. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so basically, Kelana Jaya became Subang lah. That's why my
Correct.
seat used to be called Kelana Jaya. Now it's called Subang. Okay, Kenneth, just a little bit more. Just tell us what do you do in your spare time? What do you like? Yeah. What do you
Okay.
like to do?
I actually do into a lot of gaming, Swabi, as well as I do physical sports as well. But nowadays it's it's a bit hard for me to invest time into my futsal or badminton. I actually very active in futsal and badminton. I used to go every day, actually, almost every day lah, not every day.
Okay.
But now I'm more into like whenever I get like 30 minutes or 10 minutes break time, I'm into esports. I play Mobile Legends.
Okay, what do you play in esports? I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son, so I have to play like the simplest games online to spend some time. So I go to this website called Poki.com. It's like ancient platform games, guessing games, things like that. What do you play? What are you playing?
It's called Mobile Legend, maybe. It's a 5 versus 5 player game. So you have to choose your own characters with your, your characters have their own separate powers and so on. I mean, it's funny when I explain, So the goal is to, win the other opponent. You have to play with members. You need 10 people to play that game. It's very popular, maybe right now.
Oh,
a lot
really?
of youths are into it. It's very competitive. It's a competitive game.
When I was growing up in the 80s, I used to play computer games, but the screen was green in color last time because Apple TV. But anyway, now let's move to the. Yeah. We move to the serious section now. Tell me, in that 1 year plus 1 year and about 2 months, right? Since you've been a councillor.
Yeah.
What is it that the councillor does, and what are the greatest challenges you've had so far?
Okay. Basically facing the community itself, YB. So being a new face, getting on ground and getting to know the people, making your face recognizable over there is a big challenge for me, because not everyone is receiving. Some people, they tend to look at, I'm young, so they go like, oh, it's a young boy, and stuff like that. So it's one of the challenge that I need to get my face over there. That's one thing. Second thing, I need to prove my capabilities. That's one of my greatest challenge lah, to prove my capabilities.
Okay, okay. Actually, we are supposed to have, the senior councillor who's very famous
Yep.
in Kinara, Josh Yap,
Yep.
for our discussion last week. But, there was a flood, so we had to cancel Monday night chat. And then we couldn't put him this week because we want to invite you instead, because we had a major flood again in Taman Kinara, right? So what I'm going to do now is ask Bala to join us. We've prepared a short slide. And Bala, can you just share our slides? And then as we go through the slides, Bala will narrate what happened. And now I invite Kenneth and also Dashini and Bala to give their comments too. Okay? Bala, take it away. It's yours.
Okay, hi everybody. So today I'll just be going through a narrative of what happened for during the floods in Taman Kinara Section 1 and 2. This is an update as of 14 March today. Here we go. So the day of incident started on the 7th March, which is last Monday, which is exactly a week ago. Hence why we had to postpone Monday night chat for last week. So the rain started around 3 p.m. But then the water started pouring into the residential area. It was an overflow from the Kuyo River around 4:30 p.m. And within 30 minutes, all of TK1, Taman Kinara 1, and part of TK2 were already flooded. Water was already coming into the houses. So we saw the water. The results were that the water was a lot higher than the flood that occurred in 2021, which is last year.
Yeah.
So at 5:30 p.m., our local councillor, Kenneth here, requested help from the police and rescue department to help with evacuations. YB was also on the ground and was also helping to rescue babies. So YB Wong Chen here, he arrived on site from Parliament at around 8 p.m. But on the same day, on a different site or different area of Kinrara, at 12 midnight, there was a report of a landslide that happened near Pangsapuri. So YB pula cannot rush to the site because there was a water disruption as well because of the landslide. So they helped to bring water in and so on.
Okay. So can we get your point of view? What happened? What do you remember on the Monday night? Because I arrived quite late. I remember we received message, at least I was in Parliament, and then I received message 4 o'clock that water were rising, and we still thought it was okay. And then suddenly 5:30, we got all this really bad news, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, it's very simple. We had to fight traffic. We couldn't go, so we waited a bit. So I arrived there finally at 8 o'clock, right? So you arrived earlier. So what happened there?
Yeah. Initially I got a call, YB, from the residents, saying that the rain started, and then the water level is pretty up. And earlier, before that, I need to mention that Dashni actually contacted me from YB's office, because the flood was hitting the KL, if I'm not mistaken, right? Initially it was hitting KL, also Dashni was checking on me, so I had to contact my AJKs, MPP AJKs who live around TK1 and 2. And they said the water level was going, water level is not so high, but within 5 minutes I got another call saying that flood already hit. So it happened so fast, maybe.
Yeah, it was 30 minutes, right? From the ankle to the waist to the chest, 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
But can you describe? I mean, I saw the video. One thing I must say lah, YB Zihan, fantastic lah.
Yeah,
I saw the video of him. I saw video of him rescuing baby. I thought this guy is like superhero. Right? You were there, right? Because you supplied the case, isn't it? The JCB case to pick up.
JCBs and tankers, 10-ton lorries, maybe. Because initially when I contacted MBSJ was they are a bit afraid to go into the flood area with highlights or whatsoever, because the water level is very high, and then this time the current is pretty strong. So meantime, MBSJ is preparing boats and so on. We couldn't wait. And I was already at the scene probably in 15 to 20 minutes. So once I'm there, since earlier we had a past experience last year, right? On the 17th, we also had the same experience. So I managed to have the context of all these lorries, JCBs, and so on. So it was very helpful for me to call them back, and then I managed to get 5 10-ton lorries, and then I think 4 JCBs to get
Yeah,
into the flood and rescue people because we can't wait any longer because the water was rising, and we can't wait for the boat, so we had to get step in. And YB and Zian was there. He was on the JCB machine saving babies and okay, you people.
incredible.
Yep.
When I bump into him at 8 o'clock, I said, I told him you're a bloody superhero. lah." That's what I told him. Not bloody, lah. I mean, I told him it was incredible. Lah. You know?
I was on
So
the
can
lorry,
you,
YB. I was
you're on the
passing
lorry, is
by.
it?
I was on the lorry. Yeah, I was passing by, and I saw a JCB machine, passing, passing me, lah. And I was like, someone was screaming like, "Hey, hey, I Kenneth, right?" I turned around and I saw YB was there, YB and Zian on the JCB machine, holding a baby.
I know.
So yeah,
Okay.
that was
Can you tell us a little bit about Pangsa Puri Surya though? Yeah? What
okay.
happened at midnight?
All right. So basically, the water, subsided around 9:30 to 10 around that. So I got a call after that, saying that there was a landslide, but I didn't have any pictures or whatsoever. So I rushed there. It was about 5 minutes away from TK1 to Pangsapuri Surya. So I had to rush there with my volunteers that I had earlier, and the situation was pretty bad lah, because the landslide was quite bad. It was at the tebing, and everything just slided away, and people was very afraid. They are already into panic mode. They want to move out and so on like that. So Bombo was already there. I think Bombo was contacted by the JMB. Bombo was already there, and they closed the area. So after that, I contacted MBSJ Engineering. So we have unit Cherun and so on to handle certain cases lah. So engineering, they send their people, and we actually did the first level solution.
Okay.
Which means we covered the landslide with canvas first. That's the first stage for any
And then the
landslide.
next day do the repair lah, right?
Yep.
Okay. Bala, can we continue the slides? Yeah.
Yes, let's go. Let's go on. So the aftermath, the day after, which was a Tuesday, both our office were invited to visit many of the sites that were affected. So for Kinrara, primarily was Taman Kinrara Section 1 and 2. We went on the site, we surveyed a few of the places. So I was there on the ground with one of our volunteer engineer from actually Subang Jaya. We went around to look at the sites, and we saw how, and he was suggesting some of the potential reasons why the flood could have happened. So yeah, we went there, and then YB Zahan was at Pangsapuri Surya Kinrara. So we were there looking at the landslide as well. As you can see, as Kenneth mentioned just now, the slope that was that had a landslide was actually already covered with the canvases already. So before I went to Kinrara, I was actually at Subang Jaya with YB Michelle Ng's office, the Dun Subang Jaya's office. We went first to USJ Avenue 1. So it's a condominium where the basement parking was flooded, and I think 12 cars were affected by the flood. And yeah, that was also because of overflow of water into their area from the river. Then we also went to Jalan Industri USJ 1, where there was an overflow of the river water from Klang River itself onto some of the commercial areas around the area. Yeah, and on this day, YB Wong Chen was, of course, in Parliament doing his duty as a member of Parliament.
Yeah, so Mr. Naika is the volunteer engineer, and Mr. Naika is
Yes.
a friend of ours, right? We've known him for some time. So I called him up actually on Monday night after visiting the site, and he immediately said yes, he'll do it. So on Tuesday morning, he contacted you, right, Bala? And also Kenneth brought them around, right? Okay, so the bottom line is Taman Kinrara was very badly affected. Pangsapuri had no flooding but landslide. USJ1 was a perennial problem with their condo. They had a retention wall that kept collapsing and water keep going in there. And then Industry 1, of course, they are a company, so we generally hope that they have insurance to take care. So primarily our focus is on the Taman Kinrara side. Okay.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Next, on Wednesday, YB Wong Chen actually gave a speech or interrupted YB Fahmi to deliver a speech in Parliament about the Taman Kirara flood. So you can watch the
Yeah.
video on YB's Facebook page. If you're watching from his Facebook page now, there's another video on this speech where he
Yeah,
focuses
so
on, yeah,
yeah. So basically, I just give a short speech. You can watch that. But I just want to add that the YB Mastura, the Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister Department, she's in charge of the ICU. So we actually had a long chat after that. Essentially, in December we gave out about 450,000 of aid to people, almost up to 500,000 because we had to cover mosques as well. So this time around, we're thinking of trying to find that money again to give to the people. So I need to talk to ICU because our funding has to wait until 1st April, and we can't wait that long. Yeah. So we're still thinking about the budget. How much can we support our constituents again for a second round of flood? So I want to explain to all my constituents, if your budget is being cut here and there, that is because we have to help these 1,002 families that were badly affected. Okay. Next slide.
yeah. Next, we move on to Friday. On Friday, we split our team into two. The first team is with Serene Darshini and our intern Wen. They went down to Taman Kirara 1 and 2. They surveyed street by street. Yeah, they went through street by street, knocking on people's doors to just check on them, asking them what were the flood levels like. Did they enter the house? Just to gauge how badly how bad this flood was. And yeah, and interviews came. The reports from the interviews were that the water levels were definitely a lot higher than before, and the currents were also a lot stronger. But it affected lesser areas. So all of TK1 was still affected, but lesser in TK2. So that was the findings we got from the survey. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on.
Next slide.
Yeah,
So
so
this
these
is
are
the
the
project, right?
general. Yes. So these are the general affected areas. The ones in brown are the ones that are definitely affected by the flood. So the ones on the right side is TK1. On the ones on the left side is TK2. The ones in yellow are places that were mildly affected, and the ones in blue are the ones that were not affected at all. So we included the ones that were mildly affected and the ones that were severely affected by the flood. And TK1 counts at 742, TK2 at 260 houses. So altogether, we had about 1,002 houses that were affected by the flood.
Yeah, so this was the task I assigned the intern together with Dashini and also Serene. The team one, they went to do this. And you have to give them credit, they walked the entire place. So I took them a couple of hours. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Dashini here to join us to talk a little bit about this? Yeah, Dashini. So tell me about your experience.
Me
And
and
when
Ben
also.
as your boss, yeah. Okay, I think we were a bit I don't think we knew what we were in for, I guess, because the previous time when we went around, most houses were already or had already cleaned up after the flood. But this time, there were some houses, particularly in TK2, who had not been able to get to cleaning their house because we went on a Friday, I believe. We went on a Friday, so some people had just come back or they were spending their time the rest of the week working, and this was when some of them had actually returned from uni and things like that. So we actually spoke to, I think, one of the photos that were here. Oh no, the photo isn't here, but we actually went to one of the families who were in the middle of cleaning as we went. There were cardboard boxes everywhere. They had a dog which was like, just running everywhere. And we actually got to see, unfortunately, the damage that they actually endured. And like Bala mentioned, although the flood may not have affected or touched many areas as it did previously, the water level rose very, very quickly. It took people by surprise. And so I think no one was really able to, I think a lot of people managed to save their cars, but in terms of the property actually in their house, I don't think they were actually able to, get the things and leave as quickly as they would want to. When do you want to share your experience?
Yeah, what is your experience? What was most memorable for you?
Mostly because this is my first time, as I was not here before when the first flood happened. So the experience itself was very new for me, but I found that the rubbish that came with the flood was a very sad sight to see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Kenneth, you want to add anything? Because Kenneth, you are on the
Um,
ground all the time, right? I mean, you have been there since Monday
yep.
non-stop until Friday, you know?
Correct. I just want to highlight something, YB. The emotions of the victims right now is way higher, because this is the second time, this is the second phase that they are facing. So I think we all aware that we have given out bantuans previously after the first wave, and now is the time that people are slowly settling down. Now they started, buying their, rabot lah, TV lah, and they have painted their house. And at this time, second wave is hitting, so it's very sad to see. It's very sad to see them.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Come, Bala, let's move on to the next slide.
Okay, so as I mentioned just now, we were split into two teams. First team that went to survey. The second team, we went for a site visit with experts. So YB Wong Chen had called on his friend to help. He's a volunteer engineer from a private sector, and I approached JPS, Jabatan Pengairan dan Saliran, who are actually, when it comes to rivers, these are their jurisdiction. So they are the experts when it comes to rivers in Malaysia. So I just called the person in charge, and they agreed to come down to the site to look at it while we were there. So both the volunteer engineer and the officials from JPS agreed on the same thing. There needs to be a long-term and a short-term solution. The short-term solution is to build a bund along the rivers affecting the residential area. So you see the first picture. So there is a river bank there, and that is the river bank by which they want to build a bund. And the second solution is to deepen the Kuyo retention pond. I will show this in this next slide. Yeah. So the short-term solution is to build a bund. As you can see, the river is on your right side. The red line is where where the bund would go, right next to the Kuyo River. Please note that this is not the Klang River. This is the Kuyo River that converges into the Klang River. So there will be a bund that will be placed 2 meters above the river banks, so that if there is a high volume of water that suddenly comes into the river, it will not overflow. At least it will slow down the flow into the residential areas. So that is the short-term solution, but that will cost a whopping 1.6 million. So
Yep.
yes, that's the long-term solution, which is the Kuyo River. So the Kuyo River, the blue line here, it converges into the darker blue line, which is the Klang River. As you can see at the bottom right, there's this thing called Kolam Bohol. That is the retention pond that is supposed to hold the water before the water flows into the Klang River, which, from observations, have not been very deep when the water level rise. So that is the long-term solution, which is to deepen and clear out this column, so that it would hold the water before it goes into the Klang River. However, this, more than the first short-term solution, is going to cost 24.6 million ringgit. It's a lot more expensive. Please note that this Kolam Bohol is actually in the jurisdiction of KL, not under Selangor. As you can see, the dotted red lines. We can say that the problem actually is, if it is from the Kolam Bohol, actually has been confirmed by the engineers that it is from the Kolam Bohol. When the water comes in, it affects our area in TK1 and 2, but the problem actually originates from KL. Yes, definitely.
Yep. Okay, so let me go back one slide, Bala. Okay, this bund is a temporary solution. Okay, it's about 280 meters long. You have to dig quite deep, and the maths came out to about 1.6 million. This budget is supposed to be paid by GPS, which is under the Ministry of Environment and Water, because they're in charge of Sungai. So that's clear. My job as your member of parliament, when this paper comes out, which is expected tomorrow, is to go and see the minister and try and get him to agree to do this on an emergency basis. Now go to the next slide. This one is a DBKL problem. So, and DBKL is of course under the Federal Territories Ministry. So that's under Shahidan Kasim lah. That's a different story altogether. And it's actually in KL. So I can't step in to intervene in Kolam Bohol, even though the spillover affects Taman Kinrara. I have to work closely with the MP there and also the Minister of Federal Territories. Okay, next slide. Yeah, Bala, next steps. Okay.
So the next steps that our office is going to do is, first and foremost, we have to wait for JPS to complete their report. I just got in touch with the engineer there, Mr. Kamal. He said the report will be ready tomorrow morning. So once the report is out, the next thing is YB Wong Chen will be taking this report to meet the Minister of Environment and Water, YB Tuan Ibrahim, to discuss, of course, the budget and to get this project approved. So hopefully the Minister will agree to our request and, of course, also approve the funding, the 1.6 million. Note that the 24.6 million project, as mentioned by YB Wong Chen just now, needs to be applied by the KL Member of Parliament, YB Puan Teresakok, because it is within the constituency of Seputih.
Yeah. Okay. So I did call up Teresa Kok today to explain to her what's going on. The YB Engzihan is coming to Parliament tomorrow to meet up with the Minister Shaidan Kasim. I actually bumped into YB Tuan Ibrahim today in Parliament, and I had a short discussion with him. Of course, the formality is I must produce an actual report from JPS. So tomorrow morning, we're pushing JPS to quickly finish this so I can go and see Shaidan Kasim and also Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man to tell them that we need this done badly. Yeah. So, no promises, but, we have to do our best and try to get this done, because as expected, this period of May, April and May, the forecast is still heavy rains, right? But the big one that is coming on clockwork is December, January. So whatever we do, we must finish all this activity in the next few months. I don't know where they're going to find 24.6 million, but at least the 1.6 million should be doable, right? So we should see what happens after that. Yeah. Okay. Is that it for the report, Bala?
Yes, that's all from me.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Kenneth, before Kenneth goes, right, I'm just going to ask him to just say something about this flood. What have you learned? Any last words you want to say before we bid you goodbye? Yeah, Kenneth?
Okay. Yes, YB. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who came forward on the day. There was a lot of volunteers that came forward without me contacting them, or they came up with their own initiative. So I just want to press that when it comes to community, we all have to live together. So helping each other is a key point for a betterment of the community. So I want to thank everyone, each one of them, to come down on the day to help us out. And I hope everyone stay patient at the time being until we figure out something to be done to them. And thanks a lot to you as well, YB. You helped out a lot as well by preparing the reports, calling in the engineering department, and bringing JPS to study what's wrong. And I think this is very important, not only focusing on bantuan that we have to give when after a flood hits, you also focusing on solving the root cause of the banjir. So thanks to you as well, YB.
Good. Thank you, Kenneth. And I want to thank my volunteers, who gave up their time, Mr. Naika, and then the very senior engineer who doesn't want to be named, understandably, right? Mr. Leong, my campaign manager, Dato' Elvin, the community leaders there, they all put their bit. So thank you so much to them. I mean, for us, our job is to help where we can, and then try to get the ministries to help do their duty. Yeah. Our job is to highlight and to lobby and to request. Their job is to deliver that. And I think on flood issue, we should set aside politics. There's no point fighting over this kind of thing. It's after all, it's for the people's benefit. Okay, so Kenneth, thank you so much for coming. I hope that the people watching this get a better understanding who you are, and that when they see you on the street, to say hi to you. Okay, thanks, Kenneth. Okay.
Thank you, YB. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye. Now, next week, we're going to invite George Sharp, the famous councillor George Sharp. So stand by for that one also. Okay. Now we move on to the next section, which is Hot Topic. Okay, let's bring back the entire crew. Dashini, Bala, and Wen. Okay. Today, Serene is having a family thing, right? So she can't join us. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, Dashini, what's the hot topic for today?
I believe we wanted to talk about the Johor state election, boss, just to go through what's on
Yeah.
everyone's minds, their thoughts, and yours personally as well. So, shall we go through the slides you prepared?
Yep, let's do that. Okay, let's hit the
Okay.
first slide. I'll just explain through the process. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that the Borang 14 hasn't really come in complete set yet. Later, we will need to look at the numbers carefully and calculate each saluran, because each saluran is based on you got by age, you know, and then we also know the data on how what is the ratio segregation, whether it's urban, rural, semi-rural. All those kind of factors are very complicated and requires a lot of computation. But for the time being, we're just giving you a simplified version. And as you know, the deep computation that we do, that can be shared because those are political tools. Yeah. So today's briefing for you all is the basic ABC version. Okay. So to start off, the 2022 Johor Negeri election, the numbers are very clear. Barisan Nasional won 40. Pakatan Harapan won 12. Can we go back to the slides? Yeah, hang on.
Sorry, boss, it looks better this way. So, yeah, there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's
Yeah,
better.
there was some
Okay.
issues, but yeah.
Yeah. So Perikatan Nasional, which is made of, Pakatan Harapan is of course DAP, PKR, and Amanah. And then Perikatan Nasional won 3 seats, and that's basically Bersatu and also PAS, right? And I think Gerakan or something, I'm not sure. And then Muda, of course, they won 1. And then Pejuang Mahathir's party got nothing. And then Warisan from Sabah, Shafi Abdal's party got nothing. And then there are PBM, Putra, PSM, all those also got nothing. Okay, so that's the results. Now, the core basic way to analyze this is to look at the previous results also. So let's look at the next slide. So in 2018, as you all know, the big victory for Pakatan Harapan. At the state level, we won 36 seats. And Barisans from 40 dropped to 19. So basically, they lost 21 seats. And then PAS had 1 seat because PAS wasn't working with Barisan Nasional. So that's the outcome. Okay. Now let's go back another set of 5 years, which is 2013. Now 2013, if you can see, Barisan won 40 seats, DAP won 11, PAS won 4, PKR won 1. And in 2013, if my recollection is correct, PAS was reversed because we were in this thing called Pakatan Rakyat, right? So, you can see it's quite strangely similar. Okay, next slide. There you go. 2022 results and the 2013 results is a mirror image, almost uncannily mirror image. You see, Barisan Nasional 140 in 2013, they won 40 again in 2022. PH won 12, right? DAP won 11 back in 2013, now they dropped 1. PKR won 1 in 2013, they maintained 1. Amanah won 1, PAS that time was reversed, won 4. In Perikatan there, they got 3 and 1. You can see it's almost a startling mirror image. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. So people ask, and this has been circulating, while they won 2/3 majority, people say, hey, their votes are actually quite small. So these are the votes, the actual votes they gained. Okay. Barisan Nasional got 599, that's so 600,000 votes. We got 367,000. Perikatan Nasional, even though they only won 3, had quite high number, 334. Muda, of course, got 48. Pejuang was a dismal 18,000 only. Others combined 22,000. Okay. Let's look at the pie chart. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Now, here comes the popular vote. So, Barisan Nasional got 43%. PH plus PKR got 26%. Yeah. Perikatan Nasional got 24. But you can see that PH won 12, even though we got 26, whereas Perikatan Nasional, unfortunate for them, after winning 24, they only got 3 seats. Yeah. Okay. And how is it that Barisan Nasional, only winning 43% of the vote, got 2/3 majority? Right? Okay, let's go to the next one. See the popular vote number for 2013, and you'll be very surprised. Because in 2013, Barisan Nasional, they had 40 seats, which is the same as today, 2022. But in 2013, their vote bank was 54%. And Pakatan Rakyat combined together was 46%. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide. Then you can see a better comparison. You see that? UMNO BN 43% of the vote. when in 2013 they had 54%. Yeah, and that's the key point. It's not that UMNO has gone back to the strength of 2013. They have actually won in on the basis that the first past the post system benefited them tremendously. In the same way that Pakatan Harapan in 2018 won the federal government because the first past the post system favored us. Now that has gone back to UMNO. So while some people will say, wow, this is a resounding victory, that people have forgiven Bosku, Najib, that people don't care about corruption, don't care about all this core issue, actually they do care. It's just that you can see it, yeah, in 2013 they had 54%. Now in 2022 they only got 43%. It's not 54. So to say that UMNO has gone back to their strength in 2013 is not true. But the first past the post in a multi-corner fight, you can win a seat with 33, 34% even to win a majority. Yeah. So this case is very clear that UMNO, for whatever magical reason, has benefited tremendously in the multi-corner fight. Yeah. Okay. Next slide. Now there are many questions still remain unanswered. Yeah, and my office is assisting the big data side of the party. We're doing some components of it, but we have a few more questions that we need to dig in. Okay, so the simple message that I can share with everybody out there is that it looks like we've gone back to the 2013 situation for Pakatan Harapan. In particular, PKR. PKR at 2013 we had 1 seat. In 2022 we are back to 1 seat again. Okay, in Johor. And Johor, you must understand, is a very strong Malay, pro-UMNO, pro-Malay right seat, because that's where UMNO's birth state came from. It's been always under UMNO, very staunch, yeah, almost like Pahang and all this kind of thing. Okay, so the question we need to know is what caused the total wipeout of Pejuang? Because they lost all their deposits everywhere. Yeah, in the area where we contested Bulu Kasab, where we were assigned to, they only had 190 votes. I mean, that is incredible, Yeah. So what happened to Pejuang? What happened to Mahathir's party? Yeah. It is a Malay rights party, like Bersatu. It's a Malay rights party. It's like, it's also the same as UMNO, Malay rights party. So what has happened to them? So this is an important thing to try and figure out. Second thing is, of course, Warisan contested in a few of the Pakatan Harapan seat. How much damage did Warisan do to Pakatan Harapan? Yeah. So that needs to be computed out, and we have to look at the saluran itself to see whether the damage came from young people, or damage came from the middle-aged people, or the older people. Did they come from the urban sets, or the semi-rural sets, or the rural sets? So all this need to be calculated properly. And then the third one is the Undi 13 voters turnout. We're not sure how many people actually voted from the Undi 13 benefit. That 3-year group, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, right? How many of them actually registered, voted, and whom did they support? Because we assume that they're going to support Muda, therefore by extension support Pakatan Harapan. We're not sure yet, because the Borang 14s haven't come back. So we have to look at those saluran which are bigger in number. So say there's only 5 saluran, then saluran 5 will definitely be the Undi 18 voters. Okay, and then for PKR, for keadilan, we have to look at the performance rating of each cabang. Did we have enough pacha? Did we make enough phone banks? We actually did a lot of phone banking. Yeah, so that's a good thing. Did we have people to go out and get out the vote? Yeah? That means go and drive people to voting, or ensure people go vote. Did we knock on their doors to get them out to vote? So those are important. And then lastly, we also have to look at the turnout rate of each racial group. Yeah, Malay, Chinese, and Indians vote differently, and also the variety from urban, semi-urban, and rural. Rural, like keadilan, is a known fact. Keadilan always contests in area where it's more rural, a lot more Malays. Yeah, that is the standard one. We're always given the tough seats to fight, but we're happy to do so, right? So that kind of analysis will have to come in when the Borang 14s are complete. And then, Wen, who is my intern and happens to be an aspiring data scientist, has a lot of work to do in the next 2 weeks, I think, to do all this kind of thing, right? And then after that, everything is computed, quantitative calculation are done. we actually need to do a post-mortem qualitative survey. Yeah. And then we call people, because the quant is important. The quant tells a story, but we need to get another qualitative survey. We actually interview members of parliament, ketua cabang, people that contested there, you know, but we need to get the qualitative survey done after that to match and then create a real understanding what happened. Yeah. So, you know, I can't disclose much, but I'm happy to disclose the very basic one, the one you read all the academics and all the commentator, right? I mean, that's basically it. But at the party level and at the professional politicians level, we're looking at much more complex structure. We're trying to figure out the impacts of everything. Okay. But that one, unfortunately, we cannot share with you. Yeah. So when you want to say something about the maths or the computation, but don't disclose anything. Anything sensitive.
I'll try to. Okay, so
No. I'll just ask you a question. Okay, like
okay.
do you understand what we're trying to find out? I mean, the nuance survey that we're trying to do, right? Yeah.
For now, I'm working on the basic stuff, but of course, there are still a lot more that we need to get into. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. I mean, it's very complicated. Once we put in different variables such as age, race, right, rural, semi-rural, urban, and then we try and gauge, turnout rate. We know, for instance, like in the area of Skudai, where we looked at it very carefully, the turnout rate is very low. Skudai is smack in the city center. You know why, right? I mean, we're worried. I mean, Bulu Kasab, we can keep talking about this because we were on the ground. It was a Malay majority area, right? It had Felda, but our candidate Subramani Chami, who is an Indian person, came in second, ahead of Bersatu. That's incredible. Yeah. So it's complicated and it's interesting, and there are many nuances. Yeah. So for us, if you look at the broad numbers, you say, oh yeah, kalah teruk macam ni, macam tu. But in actual fact, these numbers are important for us to build a database to explain and then fine-tune your strategy in order to win. But we're running out of time. That one I have to admit, we're running out of time because the election can happen anytime. And this is where Wen and all the data scientists from Keadilan have a lot of tasks ahead. Yeah. And they have to refine it. Yeah. When you're ready, right? Hope so. Okay. We do have other volunteer data scientists to help us. And of course, we can always go back to my good friend Rafizi, and try to ask him for some support also. Yeah, since he runs Invoke. Okay. Darshini and Bala, would you like to share a little bit about your experiences? Because Wen didn't go down because he's too young to go. Maybe the parents didn't allow him to go to the campaign. But Bala and Darshini, we've been doing the trips down to Bulu Kasab and all that. Right? Maybe let's start Darshini. What was your experience down in Bulu Kasab, Johor? What was the general feeling like?
It was my first election. The first election that I was actually involved in as being part of P104. So it was interesting to observe, but also I think what was clearly evident when we went there was that the mood was not, I don't think, the way that it would have been in other elections or other state elections for that matter, because of Omicron, I think, very much so. Perhaps other matters as well, but very much that even candidates and their teams were getting hit by Omicron. And so that was what I think changed a lot of how campaigning was done and how the mood was as well. A lot of people, I can understand them being upset with the fact that they have to come out and vote or have to change whatever plans that they had because of Omicron. There are genuine fears. There was someone who actually went to vote while being positive, and now they're facing actions for that. So, I think that really did dampen or change the mood of how it was. So that was what I think I felt very much.
Yeah, and you're right, because that's why the turnout rate was lower than Malacca, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Bala, what are your views, Bala? What was the highlight of the trips, or what did you observe that was strange?
Pretty much like what Darshini mentioned just now. I was very surprised by the voter turnout, because the 2018 voter turnout was, for Bulu Kasab especially, was at 83%. That's really high compared to the national average. And for this recent election, it was at 53%, if I was not mistaken, for Bulu Kasab, which was 30% just went missing. So it was a really shocker to me. But as mentioned just now, it was shocking that the vote turnout was reduced by 30%. 30% went missing. But it was not a shocker that it went down, because we knew the fears around Omicron, and also the sentiments around the political climate was not really all positive. So it was not really a surprise that it went down, but a surprise was it went down very badly. Besides that, I think the candidate himself was very promising. If I can say so myself, he was very promising. The few times we were down there, he showed great leadership in bringing the team together, organizing, and I was mainly in communication with his son Sharvin, who was handling his campaign. They seemed very organized. They knew what they were doing. They were data driven. They were mobilizing people to the right places, the right amount of times. So we were doing backup most of the time. We were helping with scheduling. So this is my third election. Yeah, third election. So I was in Sabah, then I went to Melaka, and then I went to Johor as well. So I helped them with the scheduling part, based on data, of course, knowing where your supporters are, where the fan sitters are, and where, of course, you don't even need to try kind of seats, but you always need to go to your voters. So we're trying to help with that, and they definitely took our advice, went ahead with it, went to the places that we suggested as well. So I'm just glad that these were a group of people that were willing to listen and learn. So that was great. But as mentioned just now, the sentiments around the opposition were not great. But he still arrived at second place, which is very
Astounding.
good. Yeah, which is for an Indian candidate in a Malay majority seat. That's actually very good.
Yeah, you're right. And Bala, I do remember you ran 3 elections with me, right? There was Sabah. Remember, Sabah was really great for us also. We were
Yes.
sent to Inanam, and we were fighting, former chief minister and all that. We won big.
In Inanam, boss, it was a 10 corner fight.
Yeah.
And he won really good. And I think 7 of them lost the deposits. Inanam was a really good start for me.
And we had the same feeling we had, because when we went to Inanam, we gave them the data, we gave them the timetable, we gave them the training. They just listened. They didn't question, because we do have a history of winning big for at least for our own campaign. So they like our system and they just adopted. And we get that same feeling with the Bulu Kasab one, even though on paper it looked like Mission Impossible, but I was so happy it came second.
Yep.
Yeah. So but we didn't have that. Unfortunately, we didn't have that kind of experience in Malacca. So Malacca was even though we spent a lot of time there, was doomed from the start in that sense, right? So sometimes it's very important to get the right feel. If the cabang is working together, the candidate can inspire. It makes a difference. A substantial difference, right? So so while some of you out there are looking at this and say, look, we lost badly and all that kind of thing, the experience of people who campaign, like Bala has campaigned 3 times, I campaigned like multiple, I can't remember how many campaigns I've run, right? It makes a difference. The percentages do move around, if you put a concerted effort and you get full coordination, So I can't say about the rest. I don't want to comment about the other seats because we were not there. It's not fair to comment, right? But we were pretty pleased with Bulu Kasab on our side, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's it for hot topic. You guys got any questions? Anybody has questions out there in the public about this Johor election? We'll try to answer.
We
If
are.
it's too sensitive, we won't answer. You must understand. Okay, next. Yeah. What questions do we have?
Maybe we can take one regarding I think one that we just got. So Adrian Wong would like to know when opposition parties are willing to set aside their egos and work under one big umbrella. So his perception is if this continues, the opposition will just be a big messy coalition. So do you have any thoughts about that, boss?
Yeah, of course, Adrian. Look, a lot of people think that that election is a 1 + 1 = 2 thing. It's not like that. Yeah. if you're talking a big umbrella, I mean, some people are throwing out ideas that maybe Pakatan Harapan should have worked with Perikatan Nasional, right? Maybe they should have worked together. How can they work together? Perikatan Nasional is with Barisan Nasional ruling the government. They have ministers there in the government, and you want to help them? I just don't understand how it works. And imagine, right? Say I'm we all know that I'm from Keadilan, right? And say Bala is a supporter of Keadilan, right? And then he lives in Gombak. And then Azmin, who is from Bersatu, is campaigning in Gombak. I call Bala and say, Bala, you go and vote for Azmin, because now we have a big umbrella, right, to try to defeat Barisan Nasional. You think Bala will go and support Azmin? Or will he turn around and scold YB Wong Chen, you gila? People think that politicians control voters and can transfer votes across the board like they're playing chess or adding mathematics. It's not that case. It's not at all. So Adrian, it's not so easy to say, hey, why don't we have a big tent, and all that. I mean, DAP and Amanah have been having big tent discussion with Warisan, and yet Warisan came and contested us across the board. So what is this thing that you believe that people can move votes around like chess pieces? It doesn't work like that. Yeah. Of course, we want to defeat anybody, but what if we help Bersatu win 10 seats in Johor and they go and form a government with Barisan Nasional nevertheless? Then what happens then, right? So it's not easy. People have all these theories out there. Maybe some of them may work, maybe it won't work. Even the best bet for us to have a big time Warisan didn't work at all in Johor, right? They contested Pakatan Harapan seats. So what does it mean? Yeah, not easy lah, Adrian. Okay, next question. Hello? Can you all hear me? I can't hear you.
Sorry, boss. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I can.
So Thomas here wants to know regarding the Sulu claim on Sabah. Why was Malaysia playing RM 5+K until the Lahad Datu incident if the claim was not recognized in the first place? So it's a bit more of a legal question than a political one.
Thomas, I mean, there are some people blaming Tommy Thomas, since your name is Thomas. Some people blaming Shafi Abdul, because I saw the Hanifa Aman, comments. Maybe he has a ground for it, because we're not sure lah. But generally, if you start paying somebody 10 cents or 20 cents or $100 or $5,000 in this case, you're recognizing them that they have a claim of some sort. So it wasn't, from a legal point of view, I don't think it was the smartest thing to do lah, right? And then why we didn't follow up representation, fight the case out, nobody knows. Yeah, nobody knows. So I think the Attorney General has to answer for this. The current one and the previous Attorney Generals and the previous negotiators who decided to, to hear this Sulu claim. Yeah. And it raises the issue, if you recognize Sulu claim, then do you say that, Sabah actually belongs to the Sulu? I mean, I don't know. At this early stage, I wouldn't blame anybody. I would definitely ask for a what I call royal commission or royal inquiry to find out. But immediately, the current Attorney General, you can't ask the previous Attorney General to explain. It's not fair, because you don't have access to document. You ask the current Attorney General to disclose what he can. And to do this is you can ask questions in Parliament, but better is for the select committee, and that select committee in particular to do that hearing should be the select committee on the prime ministerial agencies, which technically doesn't cover the Attorney General office, but it is probably the easiest one to get the Prime Minister to answer on behalf in Parliament, and also most likely we need the Foreign Ministry to explain. Okay. Is there another question?
Yeah, perhaps we can take this one from Putra Daniel. He asks, how can PKR, PH, the opposition in general, incentivize 18 to 21-year-olds to vote? So what are your thoughts on that, boss?
Yeah, Putra, the first thing is we have to find out, did they vote or not in Johor? So we don't have that data yet, right? If once the Borang 14 come back and all the saluran with the bigger numbers are computed, then we can more or less estimate did they come out to vote. I heard that a lot of people come out to vote, a lot of young people vote, but I also heard disturbing stories like, they put their name on it, therefore the ballot became spoiled. Yeah, there was obviously not enough education on how to vote for the 18, 19, 20s or so. So until we get the numbers in, we can't say. I mean, Putra, it could be that the turnout was 70%. That's admirable because the average turnout was 50%, right? But if it turns out the youth vote was 30%, below the 50% average in Johor, then we have a big problem. Then yes, you have to incentivize them to vote, right? How do you incentivize them? I don't know. I see Muda and Undi 18 all putting on TikTok lah, social media, asking them to vote. Was this not effective? We don't know, right? So, how else do you get them to vote? I'm not sure. But again, we are speculating now because we don't have the data yet. So tunggu sekejap lah, Putra. Wait until all the numbers come in, then we can say, hey, okay, they was above, or no, it is not okay, they're below the national average. Then we got big problem. Yeah? Okay. Any more questions out there?
I think this goes very well into a next question. It's a very long question, but I think
okay.
it goes well with the previous question. So YB, don't you think the voter education also needs to improve? Like, how many of those who dismissed the many results from the state election and only saw the goal as to be the first only past the post, disregarding the reach? Okay, basically yes. Do you think the voter education needs to improve?
No. Yeah, voters should actually try to understand. I mean, I had this ridiculous. I go back to 2018. Okay, Rafizi and I, we started Invoke together. He did a lot more work than me lah. To me, I was just the so-called introducer, got it started, right? At Invoke, we were telling the academics, we were telling all the experts, the posters, all these people that we're going to win. Nobody believed us, right? Because voters, because this analysis being done by all these big universities and professors, all this kind of thing, they got it all wrong. They don't understand. In a three-corner fight where UMNO takes on PAS and then takes on Pakatan Harapan, which is united, the votes split many ways. In the same way that now, UMNO securing 43% of Johor got 2/3 of the majority. So, sometimes I'm astounded lah. Yeah. 6 hours after election, people are writing like they are experts in this kind of thing. Yeah. Please lah. This is a propaganda. If you're a real academic, you wait down a bit, look at the numbers. If political parties like us can't even get the Borang 14 in order to crunch and send people like Wen times 50 of them who are data expert, how do you make this kind of judgment so fast, right? This is like normal. Most people who are political pundits or angry with some political party or angry with some personalities, jump to the gun immediately. But that doesn't matter so much for us. For us, we are data-driven. Data-driven means careful analysis, and careful analysis means getting the data right first. Yeah, like the issue about Undi 18. Did they vote or not? We don't know. We have to wait for the data to come up. Yeah. So I would suggest all the pundits out there, you want to be famous, go ahead lah. Say whatever you want, right? It's useful. But for us political parties, we look at the numbers more carefully lah, because this is our business, right? It's our bread and butter, So political education analysis needs to be better for sure. Yeah. And I think this is a good result in the sense that 2022 Johor shows that even winning a little bit of, not even majority of one, you can win 2/3. And I hope that will open up people's eyes and say, hey, how do you really look at election? Yeah, election is a science because of the data, but it is an art form. You know, it is art form because people like Pala go there and he experiences, say, hey, this is like in Anam in Sabah, that same feeling. How do you quantify this feeling? You can't. Dashini don't know like she's the first election, right? You know, so for me, I you know, even though I always say I'm not a real politician, I've experienced so many campaigns. You can actually go there and you say, hey, got chance lah, or no chance. Then it comes down to the final mathematics, and the final mathematics is how many percent Malay will vote? How many Chinese will vote? Are Chinese still angry? Don't want to come out and vote? You know, is Omicron numbers high? Therefore, I don't want to come out and vote. I mean, at 30,000 a day, I wouldn't go out and vote. You know what I mean? I mean, your intention to vote may be different, you know? And then, hey, how far is the voting area? Is this a rural area? What is important today? Yeah, if palm oil prices are good, you know, the rural area with palm oil, which is a lot in Johor, of course they're happy with the government. They will support the government, right? Factors like this play a very important role. Data tells you something, but the qualitative side, the one that people don't see, but people who are only politicians understand and go on the ground to read this, they have to come out report, and we have to adjust the campaign as the campaign flows from the 2-week period. Usually you see lah, right at the start, Bala, it's like, oh, very positive, and then we feel a bit down, you know.
Correct.
Then the last few days, like, oh, we're up again, down again, right? I mean, I'll be very frank with you. We hear a lot of stuff. And 2 days before the election, which was Thursday, we heard rumors that UMNO side was panicking, that the numbers didn't look good, you know. So to our surprise, on Saturday, the people, the population changed their mind. They obviously did. So that from that Friday night to the Saturday morning, from Thursday, UMNO feeling panicky, to a change within 24 hours, 48 hours, to give UMNO a 2/3 majority. That's astounding. Yeah. So, you know, it's not so easy in the first past the post. That's why the question just now, if we move into a proportional representation, yeah, that means every vote counts. It doesn't matter whether first past the post. Then today in Johor, this will be a government that is a coalition with UMNO 43% of the seats only. You know, yeah. And then you will see Perikatan National having 24% will join UMNO and form a government, and that's the end of your Big Ten story, lah. You understand? Yeah. Okay. Do you have any more questions? Because we have reached the 9:30 mark, and this is a hot topic, so I'm quite happy to answer more questions and try to give a bit of education to people who are analysts out there, or you know, people who are what we call political hobbyists lah, who really want to go a bit deeper than just saying, oh, kalah teruk lah, you know, keadilan, one only out of 20. Do you know that keadilan contest in all difficult seats? Of course, you can win one only out of 20 lah, right? So people need to understand the context of it. Okay, do you have any more questions out there?
There are a few more.
Okay, let's
see this one from Pang. Page, particularly PKR, is losing support. This is reflected in Melaka, Sarawak, and Johor state elections. What is PH direction to gain support again?
Well, we have to understand the data, right? It is true that PKR is losing support, but PH also losing support overall, you know. So we have to see how do we get the support up? To me, it's obviously that we have to bring back, you know, our big stars like people like Rafizi, Nurul Izzah take a bigger role. Riza has been doing quite a bit of campaigning this time, but Rafizi, and most of you know, have retired from politics, so we're trying our best to get him back on. Yeah. So I think personality-wise is important, but structure, we have to make sure that in order to win an election, it's not so much how you run the campaign, the messages you send. It actually starts from your own team. The team has to be a bit more united. It has to work harder. It has to work with data. It has to be inspired to do something. Then you will get the results. It may take some time, yeah. But for me, I've said this many times out there, and people know a lot of people don't like what I say generally, but I think that Pakatan Harapan should definitely apologize for not delivering what we promised. If you don't apologize now, How, Mr. Pang, how do you think we're going to get people to vote you back? You know what I mean? Yeah. Sure, some people say we did quite well, we reformed some things. Yeah. Some people say we wanted reform, but they didn't have time. To me, just okay lah. Just tell people lah, apologize lah. Yeah. Okay. Then you have to convince people why they should give you another chance to rule, so that you can carry out the reform that the country needs. To me, it's so basic. Many leaders don't want to listen to this, so that's their view lah. But you know, that's my point, and I've said it many times. So I'm being extremely consistent here. So you ask me a direct question, I'll give you a direct answer. I think that's the messaging. But of course, internally, you have to build your own strength. For PKR, we definitely need to see, our big stars like Rafizi, Izzah to play a bigger role. Okay, next question. Bala, I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, so this is another question from Ethan. What is the main difference between MUDA and PKR, given that they are both multiracial parties with a Malay leader?
I'm not sure, because I'm not very close to MUDA. That question you have to ask DAP lah. So we're very close to them, right? So the difference is, of course, the leaders are different lah. We don't know what MUDA stands for. Or who their leaders are, because they're young. I mean, it's to be fair, they're a young party. So they need to go through a few elections to solidify what they really stand for. And I'm in no position to comment on what they stand for. I mean, PKR for us is Anwar, is social justice. We've been fighting this for 20 plus years, right? We are Rafizi, we are Izzah, we are very clear that we're not neoliberal economics, we are centrists. We are definitely multiracial, very, very multiracial, in fact. So those are the things we are. I really can't say much about MUDA. Okay, next question.
That's about it we have from the public.
Okay,
so there's one from Mr. Tan. Hold on, yeah. This is about the PKR elections. I think we've gone into the general part already. So what do you think of PKR elections? Still same leadership, expect different results?
Look, Tan, it's very tough to talk about PKR election. Election-wise, I mean, I'm definitely, everybody knows, I mean, there's no point hiding this. I'm with Rafizi, So Rafizi has to decide whether he wants to come back. If he comes back, I'll be supporting him all the way. Yeah? We've been through thick and thin. I mean, we worked together for almost 9 years, 10 years now. Yeah, from the GST days, when we first met, we've been consistently, believe in the same things. We share similar, very, very similar ideas on economics, fiscal position, international matters. So for me, PKR election come, I'm on his side. If he wants to contest, it's his decision. But generally, as a technocrat, look, I'm the technocrat advisor on policy. So whoever wins also generally I have to serve lah. Yeah, it's not an issue. To me, if Rafizi is in the game, I'm with him. But party elections done, whether you're PKR, DAP or Amana or AMNO, is always problematic lah. Okay, everybody knows lah, So I hope that the upcoming PKR elections will be done in a professional, efficient, fast way lah. Let's not drag this, and then we have to prepare ourselves and regroup ourselves for the general election that is coming up. Okay, so those are my views. Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to a lot of people have been speculating about what's going to happen next for the GE15. So here is a question for that. Would you agree that a new narrative is required, seeing that previous issues like 1MDB and the prior struggles of reformasi seems to fade from people's minds, and that this may take years to build one, which means we're not going to see a PKR win next GE in the next few months' time?
Well, Benjamin, as you can see in the Johor election, UMNO PN only have 43%, right? So it is then up to the level. I mean, for us, we're the quant data people, right? We try to give the advice. We look at the numbers. People who are more senior than me, who have been in politics way longer, like Anwar, Mat Sabu, Guan Eng, all these people, they work on a different level. They they go on the ground, they feel it. So they ultimately are the leaders, so they decide on the ultimate strategy. Okay, is 1MDB old story? I've mentioned this in my posting. It's probably an old story. Okay, do people mind supporting Bosco? Apparently, a sizable chunk of the population, at least 43% in Johor, support Bosco, right? So does it mean 100% of Malaysians support Bosco? No, no, definitely not. So to say we give up all this country, habis lah, yeah, corrupt, tak corrupt pun they vote in. Then I think that is a very defeatist attitude. So do we have time in the if say the election happens in September? Some people say as early as June, July, right? But it's a given that it will happen within this year, right? So you may have 3 months, you may have 6 months, you may have 9 months before the general election. So during that short period, can we come up with something? I think it's really challenging. It's really challenging. To me, there's no point dealing with what happened during Mahathir's time, even though I have been commenting a lot about it. Yeah, I comment about it so that we can apologize and move on, find some closure. Yeah, we have to find closure on this issue. Okay, then at least we can start afresh. Those who want to drag this on and claim that we've done a fantastic job in 22 months, I don't think that's really helping. Yeah, but if we dwell too much on these 22 months, it's also defeatist to us. So I'm quite a practical guy. While I want closure, because I think closure is important for us to move forward, some people may say, hey, let's not dwell on the issue and just go forward, right? Depends on a different approach. Then the senior leaders of Pakistan have to decide which way they want to take. Yeah, I would definitely take the view that, in the coming months, I know my place, I know my role, that is quant, some basic strategy, economics, policy. That's my job. I will deliver on those because, I'm a professional. So, if I give me a task, I'll do it, right? The bigger picture, we leave it to the leaders. Whether the leaders make the right decision or not, that's up to them to bear and account for. But it is getting tougher to try to win the next general election. But again, first past the post, anything can happen. Yeah, anything can happen. So I wouldn't write this off, but I would still say that the coming general election, I'm not delusional. They won Malacca, they won Sarawak, now they won Johor, all handsomely. Of course, then the GE15 is for UMNO to lose. That's the way to put it. Yeah, it's not a show-in for them, but it's for them to lose. So, it's our duty to analyze, to get the narrative right, get the policy, get the fiscal position, all this, get in place and ready to fight the general election to give us a chance to defeat and try to form the next government. Okay? That's it. I think we've gone through quite a lot. Again, I cannot share a lot of the finer details, but I just want all the people who are listening to this to be less emotional when you see all these kind of results. And if you are truly keen in understand political systems, trying to be an academic or trying to be like Wen like this, go and do the crunch data, then, if you're watching this, you're obviously interested. Okay? I'm just saying that you should take a more chill, rational approach to look at this. And after all, whatever happens politically in Malaysia, whether we go forward progressively or we regress, the ultimate decision is not how the politicians sell their story or narrative. The ultimate decision is still in the hands of the voters. You are responsible for choosing your own government. So if you think this country is okay to have people who are known to be corrupt, and the whole world knows they're corrupt, and you think that they should be given a chance to rule because supposedly they can deliver economic growth to you better, it's ultimately your choice. Our job as politicians is to give you a different vision. Whether you believe you can deliver that vision, that's your choice also to decide. Yeah, but you cannot put the responsibility or the blame on politicians alone, because ultimately you, the people out there watching this, every voter there, you made that decision in Johor, you made that decision in Malacca, and you're going to make that decision in GE15. Okay. On that note, we'll be back next week. We're very excited and apologetic, like, because we're supposed to get Josh back in, and he's such a nice guy, right? So it's important that we try to introduce what's happening in Kinrara, what's happening at the community level, but we also need to tell you what's been happening in Parliament, because during this session when I'm in Parliament, we're supposed to talk about this week in Parliament, yeah. And I suppose next week we'll return back to the hot topic of Ukraine a little bit, because I have been in touch with one Ukrainian MP. I've been hearing their side. I do understand the Russian side also of things. As you know, I know the Russian ambassador here, and we are friends, and I do understand the geopolitical thing. But next week, I think I would like to focus on economics and the price of the Ukraine war, because while the war is 8,000 kilometers away, it's got tremendous impact on Malaysian economics and the rest of the world in terms of inflation, stagflation, and higher prices in oil and fuels. Okay, so next week is going to be George and Ukraine, and and if there's an update that we should talk about Johor election, I will share that. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. It's a bit long today, but I think this was necessary. It's also necessary to tell you that we're moving forward on the floods in Taman Kinrara. We hope to find some resolution next week, hopefully from the ministers. Okay, that's it. Good night, everybody.